He's in the thing. Is that him?
Yes, I couldn't see him through.
Look at mine.
Who you like talking today?
I was coming by.
His wife, his daughter got married. So he's showing me stuff.
Oh, the guy at the door?
Yeah, yeah. 2 weeks ago, he had to make the speech and all that stuff. Okay. We on here? Good evening and welcome to the Planning Advisory Board meeting of February 13th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Secretary Scott Byrne.
Please place your hand over your heart, face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Secretary Byrne, please call the roll.
Chairman Stanko,
Here.
Member DiLeonardo,
Here.
Member Chabina,
Here.
Member Warner,
Here.
Member Castellane.
Here.
Member Byrne is present. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay, the format for the meeting includes a presentation from the applicant, questions and comments from board members, and then any interested parties may address the board regarding the application. And we ask that anyone who wishes to address the board on the application to come forward, speak from the podium, and state your name and address for the record. The item we have this evening is 449 West John Street in Hicksville, New York, 11801. The applicant is seeking a site plan approval from the Planning Advisory Board in accordance with the town's site design standards. This site plan application involves the demolition of all existing structures and the construction of a maintenance/office building with associated site improvements for a bus depot. The proposed use for the subject property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Secretary Byrne, do you have any correspondence on this?
Yes, Chairman. We have a memo from the Zoning Division dated March 29th, 2023, stating that the subject property located at 449 West John Street, Hicksville, New York, 11801, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation of Section 11, Block 325, lots 435, 436, 452, 454, 459, 460, 461, and 462, and is located within the LI Light Industry Zoning District on the town zoning map. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated December 16th, 2024, recommending the adoption of a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated April 7, 2023, stating there are no open code cases for the that there is an open code case for non-maintenance of litter and debris for the subject property. Chairman, since this memo is 7 months old, the Planning Division contacted the Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there are currently open code violations for non-maintenance and commercial vehicles. We have a memo from the town's Department of Public Works Highway Division dated March 31st, 2023, stating that they have reviewed the site plans and have no objections. We have a letter from the Long Island Railroad dated July 17th, 2023, stating they take no exception to the project. We have a memo from the Nassau County Department of Public Works dated October 10th, 2024, stating that pursuant to General Municipal Law 239F, the plans have been conditionally approved as noted. We have resolution number 10,603-25 adopted on January 30th, 2025 from the Nassau County Planning Commission recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated January 24th, 2025 stating that the required parking for the subject property is 659 parking spaces and 666 spaces have been provided. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated January 24th, 2025, stating that the division has conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 6, Site Plan Review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And we have the affidavit of sign posting and the affidavit of mailing from the applicant.
Okay, all right, thank you. Presentation?
Good evening, members of the Planning Advisory Board. Eric Hellman of Amato Law Group, PLLC. Office is located at 666 Old Country Road, Suite 901, Garden City, New York, 11530. I'm here on behalf of the applicant to seek site plan approval to redevelop and expand an existing bus depot at 449 West John Street, Hicksville, New York. The subject property is approximately 18.19 acres in area and is situated along the south side of West John Street, approximately 495 feet west of Engle Street, within an industrial and commercial corridor. An existing school bus depot is located at the northwest area of the property and occupies approximately 3.8 acres. The applicant is seeking site plan approval to redevelop and expand the existing bus depot within the subject property to the south and slightly to the east. The redeveloped and expanded school bus depot would occupy approximately 11.3 acres of the property following the project completion. The project is fully compliant with the bulk and dimensional regulations in the underlying light industry district. As part of this project, the applicant is also seeking a lot line adjustment to accommodate the expanded bus depot area. At this juncture, the project has been reviewed by the Town Department of Environmental Resources, the Nassau County Department of Public Works, the Hicksville Fire District, and the MTA Long Island Railroad. The Town Department of Environmental Resources issued a negative declaration recommendation on December 4th, 2024. The Nassau County Department of Public Works issued a conditional approval letter on October 10th, 2024. The Hicksville Fire District issued a letter of no objection on February 14th, 2024. The MTA Long Island Railroad issued a letter of no objection on July 17th, 2023. In addition, the Town Department of Planning and Development issued a zoning compliance letter on December 1st, 2023 in connection with the requested lot line adjustment. With me this evening are a number of experts and representatives of the applicant who can discuss this project in detail as necessary. Unless the board has any questions at this point, I would like to call up Mitchell Summit, a professional engineer with Ware Malcolm, to discuss the engineering and design aspects in detail.
Just one, what's the total, go over the acreage again? And
Yeah,
so the bus
total
company
subject
owns,
property is 18.19 acres in area. It's a horseshoe-shaped configuration.
okay,
The bus depot is at the northwest corner. It's about 3.8 acres right now. And then after the expansion, it would occupy about 11.43 acres.
okay, after the expansion.
Correct.
Okay.
You spoke of a lot line adjustment.
Yes.
Could you just give us a little information on what that adjustment is?
Sure. So the property is currently comprised of 8 tax lots. So all of the interior lot lines are to be eliminated besides the new lot line that's going to be created at the toward the south of the property. So when it's done, there will be 2 new lots that are created. One lot with the bus depot and the other lot to the east that will accommodate a different project.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it wraps around the 2 existing, or the 3 existing buildings there, am I correct? The
Correct.
lots?
Yeah, and this would
Okay.
just clean everything
And
up
you went
basically,
to
and
the
it would be
Nassau-
2 lots.
You went to the Nassau County Planning Commission for that adjustment?
We have an application in with them right now, and we're going to appear before them on March 20th.
Laser or something, this thing? Sure, okay. Hi, board. My name is Mitchell Summit. I work at Ware Malcolm Engineering, a civil engineer on this project. And I'm a licensed, as Eric mentioned, a licensed engineer in the state of New York and have been since 2018. And I'm just gonna kind of walk through the existing conditions first, and then we'll walk through the proposed site plan after that, if it's all right with you guys. I don't know if you probably can't see these TVs.
We have,
You have them in front of you? Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
We have everything. This is Town of Oyster Bay.
This is classy. I love it. Okay, so what's in front of you right now on the screen is what we kind of are referring to as Exhibit A1, and this is the existing conditions plan. It's really just the survey with an aerial underneath it in order to show you what's kind of out there right now. As you can see, excuse me, in the northwest corner of the site, that's kind of the only portion of the site right now that has a lot going on. That is where the existing first student operation is that we're planning on expanding to. So that existing operation has a small roughly 3,000 square foot building and 2 curb cuts that access directly onto West John Street. Both of those curb cuts right now are full access, so you can enter and exit from both of those. Just to the east of that is an access drive, which would be lot 459, which is essentially just an access drive that gets you to the rear of the site, to the southern portion of the site. And that is another access point along West John, which is full access as well. And then moving to the southern portion of the property, that is what in some of our meetings with the planning department is referred to as Mount Hicksville. It's a large, extremely large stockpile, but it's currently vacant land, and that is what the First Student operation is planning to expand into. And then to the southern portion of the site, you have the Long Island Railroad, as was mentioned. We have a letter of no impact from them. And then to the eastern portion, you can see the proposed subdivision line that's on this plan. And as you mentioned earlier, it kind of creates this a little bit of an awkward L shape that wraps around the industrial buildings to the east. The site is zoned light industrial. All the neighboring properties are light industrial. Like I said, so that's both the neighboring properties to the west and the east, all industrial use. And then to the south, you have the Long Island Railroad, and northwest John, and across the street is Cantiog Park and the golf course there, if anyone wants to go golfing. And I now have to try not to screw up this clicker. There we go. First try. So what you have in front of you now is what we're referring to as Site Plan Exhibit A2. This is really just a colored rendering of our proposed site plan. And I'm just going to kind of take a little bit of time to walk through what we're seeing. As you can look at it, you know, it's more or less a big parking lot, which is what we're going for. So the development is the proposed expansion of the First Student bus terminal, as we mentioned, and associated with this expansion, there's a proposed 24,000 square foot building. This building is 12,000 square feet of this building is dedicated to 10 maintenance bays. So that's the northern half of the building is 10 drive-in maintenance bays where they can, you know, fix up the buses and do washing and cleaning. And then the remaining 12,000 square feet to the southern portion of this building is dedicated to storage and office space for students' operational use. The existing bus terminal as it is right now, or distribution location, has a capacity for approximately 157 buses with 16 vehicular stalls as it stands right now. This proposal would expand that to a total of 324 buses. The facility is designed to park 131 full-size buses, 193 half-size buses, and one of the big sticking points that we had with the planning department when we were working back through this is it also provides 342 vehicular stalls. And how we got to that number, I can explain it in a little bit more detail later, but it was very important to the planning department to have at least one vehicular stall for every bus stall, and then also to ensure that any full-time employees who were working at the maintenance facility or in the office, that there would be enough stalls for them to ensure that the site is really self-sufficient as far as parking capacity. Let's see, so I guess first I'll start with the vehicular access and circulation of the site. Access is provided by 2 driveways onto West John. If you remember when I was describing the existing conditions, there's currently 2 access points for the existing First Student lot, as well as the 1 access to West John that gets you to the rear of the site. So that would be 3 in total that are all full service or full access, so both entrance and exit. We worked with the Department of Public Works at Nassau County a lot with this design, and with the proposed new development, it would be limited to 2 access points. The access to the west, so kind of where the existing First Student lot is right now, that is an entrance only. That can be entered from both eastern and eastbound and westbound traffic, so left or right turn in, but no exits, and there's signs to indicate such, and pavement markings on the site to indicate such. And then the other access point, the eastern one, would be your exit only, and that we worked with DPW in order to make sure that is a right only onto West John, and how that's done, which might be difficult to see on the screen, but it's actually channelized to make sure that you're really pushing the buses to ensure that there's only making a right turn onto West John and that there's no one that's crossing West John in order to attempt to make a left turn out. As I kind of mentioned earlier with the different bus layouts, the design of the facility has been separated into kind of three main areas. The first area to the north, you could just call it the north, I suppose. It's the whole northern area aside from the exit lane is that's for the full bus stalls. And so there's 131 full bus stalls proposed at this site, and the minimum drive aisle in this area of the site is 35 feet. In the southwestern portion, so to the, I guess, kind of the middle of your screen and then down to the southwest of the site, that's where the half bus stalls are located. And again, that's 193 half bus stalls that are proposed. And this area of the site has a minimum drive aisle of 30 feet in order to maintain circulation. And lastly, as we mentioned with the vehicular stalls earlier, that's kind of like, these are centralized closest to the maintenance building and slightly separated via vegetation and curbing from your bus stalls. And that's in your, I should say your southeastern portion to get 342 vehicular stalls, including 8 ADA stalls. And one of the other things that we worked with respect to circulation is with the fire department. We, provided our plans to them, and one of the items that they wanted to see was, and again, this is on there, but probably difficult to see, along the eastern portion of that exit-only lane, there is both signage and red striping to indicate fire lane, so no parking there, and that continues around the curve of the L to the north of the building and as well to the south of the building, which again both is signage and pavement markings, red pavement markings along the road to indicate, just to ensure that there's no buses or passenger vehicles that are parking that could prohibit emergency vehicles from accessing the site, should that ever happen, hopefully not. And then that is kind of for all I have, at least for vehicular access. Moving on to operational hours, the operation for this site is anticipated to be roughly between 5:30 in the morning and 8 p.m. The morning departures, the vast majority, the big chunk of morning departures leave at between 6 and 6:30 and return to the site between 9 and 9:30. Afternoon departures between 1 and 1:30, returning between 4 and 4:30, and then the site closes for the night around 8 p.m., which is really just the last maintenance or office person is anticipated to leave the site and lock up around 8 p.m. Speaking of locking up, onto security and fencing. The site is fully fenced to prevent outside access to the site. The proposed fence is 6 feet high, chain link. There are access gates at both the egress locations, which will be open at the beginning of the day and remain open throughout operation, possibly maybe closed in that middle chunk when there's not a lot of action. And then these gates will be closed at night as well and locked upon leaving. Additional security measures to propose the site lighting to remain illuminated throughout the night at dark sky compliant levels. The lighting design has been designed with dark sky compliant LED lights with downward facing that do not spill over onto neighboring properties. And then additional security measures would be, cameras and alarms for the building itself. As Eric mentioned previously, the site complies with all the bulk standards for the zoning district, for the light industrial district. There's the one maybe that would bring up that we discussed with the planning department is there is a 60-foot maximum building setback in this portion in the light industrial district. Obviously, this building is quite a bit farther than 60 feet from the road, or the property line, sorry. But in our discussions with the planning department, they told us that would not require variance relief, and that this is still as of right with the bulk standards. Parking and loading, I already covered all that. I want to bore you any more than I am. I will say one of the items that we discussed with the planning department again was with loading, and it was agreed that the maintenance bays themselves operate as loading stalls, because you can just drive in, drop off, they got the storage all there. Stormwater management. So we provided a SWIP that's compliant with the DEC regulations and was reviewed by Nassau County DPW. The stormwater design itself is concentrated into 3 large underground detention and infiltration systems throughout the site. So there's one underground system in the northern portion. There's another one kind of in that, I guess you'd call it, the middle of the site, and then there's a third one over in the southeast. And these systems capture, convey, detain, and then infiltrate right back into the Long Island sand without any connection to municipal storm systems of any kind. So everything is captured and treated, pre-treated and then infiltrated right back into the system. With respect to signage, there's one proposed freestanding monument sign that complies with all of the zoning code ordinance, or the zoning ordinance. It's 5 foot tall, 32 feet in total square footage, located at the entrance only, so the western egress point, 10 feet off the property line for the code. So it's it just follows the zoning ordinance in order to get the one freestanding sign. Utilities, the building will be served by sewer, water, and natural gas, all from West John, the existing infrastructure within West John. I guess the only thing of note with that, maybe at least in my head, would be the water, to note that the water does have above ground backflow preventers for both domestic and the fire lines that are located just to the west of that eastern exit only area, kind of hidden in the landscaping there on that island. And then telecom and electric will come from overhead lines that are run along West John. In fact, some of the electrical lines travel down the eastern property line right into our site, which makes that easy. And then I'm going to focus a little bit here on the landscape and screening, which I assume is probably an item of importance to the board. At least it certainly was to the planning department. This is probably the design aspect that we went back and forth with them the most on, and our instruction from the planning department was to just screen this thing as much as possible on the perimeter, really throw as many trees and everything. I guess it was to hide it from view, I suppose. So everything that, as long as we could keep our site triangles, they were like, just throw as many trees as you can on here. So that was our objective. That's what we did. As you can see on the plan, for an industrial site, there's quite a bit of green, and it really does screen the property quite well. Both principally, the main areas of focus that we were directed to really go as robust as we possibly could were along West John, to hide it from that, I suppose, and then really create a separation from the Long Island and provide some greenery along that. And then, we did what we could, I think, with respect to the neighboring properties, and there were just 2 items that I wanted to address that we worked through with the planning department that I'll read from the code. So there's two code items here. One is, in all off-street parking areas which contain 50 or more parking spaces, at least 10% of the total parking facility within the parking perimeter shall consist of raised landscape islands. In our discussion with the planning department, they agreed that if we focused our landscaping on the perimeter rather than landscaping islands within a parking lot that was only accessed privately by the First Student Things, that they were okay with that design concept, rather than, say, if you're at like Costco or Target and you need that separation and that greenery. They preferred to focus on more of the screening of the industrial site itself. So that was one that we worked through with them quite a bit on. And then the second was landscaping of off-street parking areas shall include at least 1 shade tree of not less than 4 inches caliper for each 6 parking spaces, And this site complies with that, with the vehicular access, and it was agreed by the planning department that that is really the intent of the zoning code, and that given that the entire site is really parking for the buses, they weren't counting the parking stalls against that. So we meet that with the shade trees with respect to the 342 vehicular stalls, and the planning department agreed with that. In total, we ended up, this landscape design proposes 340 trees, 74 shade trees, 249 evergreen trees, 17 ornamental trees, 625 shrubs, 553 evergreen shrubs, 32 deciduous shrubs, and then 125 ornamental grasses. So quite a bit of greenery for a parking lot. And then the last thing I want to touch on here is just the lighting design. Our lighting design is compliant with the town code. There are 6 wall-mounted LED fixtures along the building, and then 43 pole-mounted LEDs throughout the parking areas. All of these fixtures are dark sky compliant, downward-facing light fixtures, energy-efficient LED to prevent spillage onto the adjacent properties. This property is proposing to be illuminated 24/7 for security purposes. Yeah, oh, and then this, the one thing, that's what I forgot. And then you might be able to see on your screens, there's kind of some areas that are about, like there's the crosshatch there, in between the different parking rows. That is area for the future for electric vehicle charging stations. This project is not proposing to install those at this time, but we are installing conduit so that we're EV ready in the future, because it just seems like that's where times are headed. And I think, not to speak for them, but from my discussions with First Student, that's where their plan is to have an electrified fleet in the future as well. So really for this proposal, it's essentially getting that conduit in the ground so we don't have to tear up the asphalt in 5-10 years or whatever it is. But that is something that First Student wanted to address in order to try and future-proof this to some extent. And I think that is all for my,
Can I ask you, do you have any more slides? I'll call them slides,
yeah, so we have the other design drawings that we can
that you can push
pull
through?
up. Yeah,
Can
these were the ones that I wanted to talk through,
Oh,
but we
okay.
can look through some
On
of the
the,
other ones
let
for
me
sure.
ask you, then, on the parking, are you segregating any parking for people who work in the building as opposed to the drivers? Like, this area is for this, if you work in the building, you park here. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question.
mean-
I'm not totally sure what the operational plan is. You guys, I don't know if you want to have a plan for that or not, for students here
Just-
tonight, but for our design, it was just,
Just open parking?
that was my assumption, but I'm not sure if they're gonna
Okay.
have assigned parking or something. I know the bus parking is assigned, but I'm not sure about the pedestrian or vehicular parking.
What about irrigation?
Yes, so the landscape plan will require irrigation,
Okay.
and there will be a maintenance agreement established with the town in order to ensure that this landscaping plan is maintained. The irrigation plan has not been developed yet at this point.
Okay.
It'll be provided at a future date, but it will require
Okay.
an irrigation system.
Eric Gate, how much larger percentage is the increase with the additional buses as compared to the way it is now? I'm thinking during your peak times when the buses are going out in the morning, you obviously have more traffic leaving this spot now. Has that been taken into consideration as to egress and so forth on this property?
It has, I can give you the numbers up. So the current operation has 157 buses, and that is increasing to 324. So yeah, it's
That's a
an
lot.
increase in traffic. I know, and we did a traffic report. In fact, we have Aaron over there, our traffic engineer, that can
Okay.
answer if there's any specific traffic questions more intelligently than I can. But yeah, those reports have been done and submitted to the Nassau County as part of our application, and they reviewed them with their existing counts and everything like that that's been approved. So I don't know the specifics of the counts, but I know that that was definitely a major area of concern, because of course, yeah, you're adding more buses onto West John.
Do the buses enter directly onto West John Street, or is there some sort of a speed-up lane? You know, an acceleration lane?
There's
Or
not,
do they don't?
no, there's not an acceleration lane. I don't think, I can't remember how much of a shoulder there is, to be honest, but no, they entered directly onto West John.
And this was approved by Nassau County,
Yes.
this plan? Now, I know that there's another bus terminal down the street to the east. Are you combining those two? Is that the intention of this plan?
I don't, is that your guys' terminal? I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that one.
Okay.
I know that there are some like First Student is consolidating some of their lots. I don't know the one down the east if that's First Student or not. We have representatives from, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was just clarified that that's a different company, so that will
Oh.
not be part of the consolidation.
Okay, also, I noticed when I went by, I thought that there was a refueling area on the existing site in the existing building. I didn't notice any refueling here, until everything becomes electric. I mean, where did the buses get their gas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. There is an existing fuel tank and pump on the site, and if you can see on this plan, there's just to the west of the exit lane, there's kind of two lanes that go in towards what will be a fuel pump. The existing fuel tank, the underground tank, is going to remain, and then they are going to reroute that to that location to have fueling done on site there as well.
What are they gonna do in the training room?
In the training room,
Yeah.
might have to defer that one to First Students, but some trainings, I hope. I'm not totally sure. Do you guys, what kind of trainings do you guys work through there?
My name's Tom McKinnon. Come on up and just announce and.
Good evening. I'm Tom McEnany. My address is out in Wading River, but I'm the area general manager for First Student. The training area itself is, number one, we have state-required training to be done for all drivers and monitors, as well as we have regular refreshers that we have throughout the school year. Also, the training will be for hiring new drivers, training new drivers, and getting ready roadworthy. It takes, for us to have somebody apply, takes about 58 to 60 hours of training. That's classroom training, closed area training, as well as on-the-road training before they can able to take a road test. That's what the training center is used for.
Okay, thank you. Lou, you want to ask about this?
Well,
Yes.
the facility be entirely used by First Student? There'll be
Yes.
no other,
Entirely used by First Student. The ideal piece is that, the existing structure that is up on curbside closest to the road is not going to be there. It's going to be in the back, out of the way. So it also gives ample parking for employees right now. In a lot of cases, some are parking out in their neighborhoods, things of that sort. It'll bring everything on-site and self-contained.
thank you.
When the buses return to the site,
Yes.
do they have a specific parking space that they have to park in?
Yes, yes. They're all going to be numbered, and they'll be identified. They'll be pulling into the same spot that they pull out of each morning. That helps with any damage, who's parking next to you. It's not so that's the concept, and we take a look at the flow of traffic also, when the routes have to go out, so they'll be assigned accordingly, so there's a smooth flow.
'Cause I was just concerned that if, one of the buses, the first bus to come back, or whatever, not the first bus, but the early buses to come back, if they're using one of the spots near the entry, okay, where they come in off of West John, and there's a couple other buses that want to get in. I mean, has there been a provision made where, there's not going to be a backup onto West John Street with buses?
Yeah, what it is the property is large enough that there'll be an aisle that they'll be able to turn and circle through. But to your point, we kind of assign the slots to who's early back and first out so that the flow of traffic stays to a minimum out there.
How much of an area do you cover? Mostly school districts, right?
Yes.
How wide an area do they reach? Do they go to Suffolk?
Very few into Suffolk, mostly Nassau County. Primary districts we service in that area would be Jericho, Westbury, Nassau, Posies.
So they would leave at staggered times?
Yes, correct.
And then probably back at staggered times also?
Staggered times too, yes, correct.
I know that, it's part of the driver's responsibility or the assistant on the bus to clean the bus every day or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, have there been garbage facilities, or are there going to be garbage facilities in the parking area?
Yes, we have, regular containers that are housed in the facility itself. Each bus has its own broom, wastebasket, and it is emptied into a container, so that is controlled.
I mean,
like
I
that.
just don't want the,
I
everything
understand.
blowing all over the
Nor
site.
do we, yeah.
So then how do you handle the main trash pickup?
Main trash pickup is the same way. We have a regular carting company that comes in, picks up the containers a couple of times a week. We have, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 containers on site there that are taken care of.
Okay.
Eric, I had a question. You mentioned that there'll be fuel pumped on the property to the truck. Do you have a fueling spot for this, for fuel?
Yeah, for the fuel itself?
Because I can't, where are they gonna pull up to? I don't see any concrete pad or anything down for a fueling station here. I just wondering,
There's-
is that an underground tank or above
The
ground?
tank is underground, yes, and it's
All right.
existing and it's gonna remain.
It-
The actual location that they're pulling up to is just to the west of that egress lane. There's kind of 2 other long lanes that eventually approach a small concrete island. It might be difficult.
Yeah, I don't see any island. That's what I was looking for.
It's just tough to,
Yeah,
it's,
It's a white little square.
white
Yeah.
little blob that's next to some other white blobs. If you can see on the, again, on the eastern side, so the right side, you can see four arrows pointing towards West John.
Yeah.
The 2 arrows to the, west,
All right,
those are lanes to approach the fuel,
that,
proposed fuel pump, which is,
right in the way.
which is that gray island that I understand is tough to read on a plan of this size. So they would refuel there and then, just kind of pull off to the right
All right.
and then you're out of the site.
Usually fuel before they go out, or you can do either way, in or out?
I think that's the idea.
All right, well,
I-
at least they're in a rush, yeah.
Are they
Right, but
gas
that's the
buses or
concrete
diesel
pad.
buses?
Are they diesel? I assume? Mix.
Mixed?
next.
So
Okay.
so you have 2 fuels, gas and the diesel, obviously.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
They gave you some hard questions
Yeah,
tonight.
you guys are grilling me.
Anything else from the board? Scott, anything?
Just logistically, if I'm a bus driver and I'm coming to pick my bus up, do I park in the back? And then am I walking up to the bus area? I don't see a pedestrian, cross-hatching or something. I'm just concerned about the driver's safety on the site.
Yeah, that's a fair concern, but yeah, that is the proposed layout, is that, you park your car in the vehicular parking and then walk to your bus stall. I guess the one thing I would say, and I hope, and you should always be concerned about the pedestrian safety, of course, is that everyone that's on this site is a first student employee. It's not quite the same.
There's a retail center, yeah.
As you would need it, maybe like a commercial or site that's open to the public. But yeah, everyone needs to be mindful and careful of that. That's certain. There are small areas, as I mentioned, which are really designed for the future build out of EV infrastructure. But there's some lanes there that you can walk down if needed. But you're right, there's not the designated striped out pedestrian pathways, which, to be honest, would be a little bit, I don't know how you'd get it to every single every
Yeah.
single area here would end up taking up most of your.
Yeah, I see some striping down along the regular parking spaces, but just nothing that gets you from the regular spaces up to the bus spaces.
Yeah, that's correct.
Obviously, you wouldn't lead to every bus space, but I was just saying, like, maybe adjoining the two separate parking lots with some sort of a path.
Yeah,
Lines, yeah.
yeah, we could look into maybe doing that.
Yeah, you have
Or
some
expanding
extra,
some
you
of
have
the-
some extra parking spaces from the parking analysis, so maybe there's a way to just, looking at where you're fueling, are those striped areas, can you walk on those, or are those raised?
They're not raised. The only portion that's raised in the kind of middle area is where the fuel pump is proposed, and then
Okay.
there's kind of there's a little bit of a grass separating the buses from the vehicular area. Those are the only raised. Other than that, it's just striped for guidance. And one of the reasons for that is stormwater conveyance, and another is because just if some of the maneuverability, rather than hitting the curb potentially for some of these things, like, you can drive over it, but then you see the lines and, get back in lines to where you need to park your bus.
Can you highlight the handicap parking?
Sure. The handicap parking, again, probably difficult to see on this, it's
I need a mirror.
painted in blue.
Where-
It's right in and around the building. You can see it's blue.
It's blue painted, they're the 4 stalls on either side of the building.
Oh, there's the mouse, okay.
There we go, beautiful. And yeah, so it's
I
4
got
stalls
'em.
on either side of the
Okay,
building,
good, thank you.
as much as we can get.
Are there any ballards around the fuel pump area?
There will be, how do I describe this? Yeah, there'll be, it's like a metal, like a metal, guide rail, I guess, yeah, kind of protecting it.
Okay, anybody else?
Can you just repeat, you had mentioned when the buses depart 6 to 6:30, they return at 9 to 9:30, and then I missed the second half of that.
Sure, happy to. So, yeah, morning departure, or primary morning departure times between 6 and 6:30. Morning return between 9 and 9:30. Primary afternoon departures between 1 and 1:30. And then primary afternoon return hours between 4 and 4:30.
4:30. Thank you.
Of course.
Will they be leaving on Saturday for games and trips and things?
I'm gonna have to defer to First Student again on that one.
I was actually going to ask Tommy Kenny to come up again from First Students. You also addressed the concerns about pedestrian safety on the site.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for bailing me out, Tom.
Yeah, as to your question referring to safety, passenger, walking on the property, safety, all of our drivers wear high visible safety vests, number one. Number two, not only what is required by the planning board in the town for the parking signage, we have in our facilities walkways that we highlight and paint so that the drivers and any pedestrian stays within the walkways to prevent any injuries or things of that sort. The other one was, what was the question? One other question?
Trips on Saturday or?
Trips on Saturday, yeah.
gas-
They're
Sports,
limited.
what, music?
Sports trips, charters, very limited, half a dozen to a dozen vehicles maybe. But for primarily Friday afternoon when we close up, there's no traffic at all over the whole week until school starts again on Monday.
Now, while this is being done,
Yes.
where are they gonna park? How are you gonna work it?
Well, we're gonna keep the
I just,
facility.
you know,
My
Well,
understanding, and I guess it would be how they're going to be, we're keeping the existing structure in place, operating it. They're going to be building the structure in the back, and once that's done, we're gonna be moving to the structure in the back, and they'll be dismantling the structure up front. I believe that's,
Yep, that's exactly right. So they'll remain operational until the rear of the building is built out,
Yeah.
and then the last portion that'll be constructed is where they're currently operating from.
okay.
okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
So unless there were any further further questions, that concludes our presentation.
You wanna ask the residents? I don't have any more.
Oh, that's it? Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the application? There being none? And you've completed your presentation?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Motion made, James Castellane.
To approve the plan.
As is, approved?
Yeah, as is.
Anything?
I'll second
Okay.
it.
Second, or Cliff? Okay. Secretary Byrne, please call the roll.
Okay, on the motion made by Member Castellane, seconded by Member Chabina,
No,
Chairman Stenko.
Aye.
Member DiLeonardo.
Aye.
Member Chabina.
Aye.
Member Warner.
aye.
Member Castellane.
Aye.
Member Burns, aye. Chairman, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And where is he? Good job. I can't see him. There, nice job. Okay, motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Mike.